When Finn swings his hand at a fly, the fly is already gone, because to the fly, that hand isn't fast at all. A second is the same on every clock, but inside different animal brains, that second may contain completely different worlds, and you're about to travel the full spectrum of them. A strip of film held up to the light shows individual frozen frames, and when you run those frames fast enough, your brain stitches them into smooth, continuous motion. Your eyes work the same way. They don't record the world like a flowing river. They sample it, frame by frame, and your brain fills in the gaps. That sampling speed has a name. Scientists call it critical flicker fusion frequency. But think of it simply as the frame rate of your eyes. Hold a flashlight and flick it on and off very slowly. You see it blink. Speed that up. Keep going. At some point, the blinking disappears entirely and the light just looks steady. That threshold, the moment the flicker vanishes, is your critical flicker fusion frequency. It is the fastest visual update your brain can actually separate into individual moments. Below that threshold, everything blurs into one smooth image. Higher frame rate means more visual snapshots packed into every second, and that changes everything about how an animal interacts with its world. Animation cue, film strip held up to light. Each frame glows briefly. The frames speed up until they blur into a steady light. A screen that looks perfectly smooth to you, fluid, seamless, real, might look like a stuttering slideshow to a fly. Because the fly's frame rate is so much higher, it can see the individual flashes your screen produces between frames. What you experience as cinema, the fly may experience as a flickering sign on a slow street. Research by Kevin Healy and colleagues in 2013 found that smaller body size and higher metabolic rate are both associated with higher critical flicker fusion frequency across a wide range of vertebrate species. In other words, the smaller and faster burning an animal is, the more visual information it may be packing into each second of clock time. The fly's tiny body and blazing metabolism are not just physical facts. They may be the engine of an entirely different temporal world. Animation cue. Split screen. A hand swings toward a fly in real time on the left. On the right, from the fly's perspective, the hand drifts downward in near slow motion. Hummingbirds carry the same logic even further. Tiny body. One of the highest metabolic rates of any vertebrate on Earth. Wings that beat dozens of times every second, a pace so relentless that their visual system has to keep up, or the whole flight system falls apart. Under the Healy et al. Framework, a hummingbird's critical flicker fusion frequency should sit high on the spectrum. When a hummingbird hovers at a flower, perfectly still from a human perspective, the bird may be perceiving a world so rich in visual updates that a human observer looks nearly frozen in place. Animation cue. A hummingbird hovers at a flower. From the bird's point of view, the surrounding world is barely moving, a slow, blurry landscape. Dogs sit somewhere in the middle of this spectrum, larger than a fly, lower metabolic rate, and research suggests their critical flicker fusion frequency may fall below the refresh rate of older television screens. Motion on a screen that looks perfectly smooth to humans could appear slightly choppy to them. A dog watching a nature documentary may perceive the motion as less fluid than a human viewer would. Animation cue. A dog sits in front of a glowing screen, tilting its head. The screen flickers slightly from the dog's perspective. This is the fast end of the time spectrum. Small bodies, high metabolisms, more visual moments per second. Flies and hummingbirds anchor it on the left. Dogs sit in the middle, processing less per second than a dragonfly, but more than what waits on the other end. And the other end of that spectrum? That is where things get genuinely strange. Think about where your dog lands on this spectrum. Does your pet seem to react to screens or completely ignore them? Drop your answer in the comments below. Now let's travel to the slow end of the spectrum, where time may move in a completely different direction. Animation cue. The time spectrum graphic slides back into frame. Finn stands at the fast end, flies and hummingbirds glowing behind him. He turns and begins walking left toward the slow end. The colors shift from sharp, flickering light to something deeper and quieter. But if hummingbirds live at one extreme of this spectrum, something has to live at the other end, and that something moves at a pace that makes your Tuesday afternoon feel like a sprint. Picture a sea turtle drifting through open water. Large body, slow, steady metabolism. A life measured not in frantic wing beats, but in decades of unhurried movement through warm currents. The Healy et al. Research found that larger body size and lower metabolic rate are both linked to lower critical flicker fusion frequency, meaning the turtle's visual system may be sampling the world in far fewer frames per second than the fly overhead. A second of clock time may carry far less visual information inside a turtle's brain than that same second does inside a hummingbird's. And here is the important thing: that is not a flaw. A turtle does not need to track a darting insect mid-flight. It does not need to dodge a swinging hand in a fraction of a moment. Its world moves slowly around it, and its visual system is matched perfectly to that world. The frame rate fits the film. Animation cue. Finn stands next to a sea turtle. From the turtle's perspective, the water is calm, the light shifts slowly, and Finn himself seems to barely move, a gentle, unhurried scene. Now Finn keeps walking, past the turtle, down into the dark. Deep-sea creatures may represent the far extreme of the slow end. Cold water slows metabolism down even further. Darkness removes much of the pressure for rapid visual processing. There is simply less to see, and what little there is moves at the pace of deep currents, not darting prey. Bodies in the deep tend to be large and slow-moving. Every factor the Healy et al. Framework identifies with lower temporal resolution stacks up at once: large size, low metabolic rate, cold environment. The deep sea may be the place on Earth where a second of clock time carries the least visual information of any living system. Animation cue. Finn descends. The world goes dark blue, then nearly black. Shapes drift past him. Slow, enormous, barely moving. Everything drifts. But here is where the spectrum delivers its strangest detail. Not from the slow end, from somewhere in the middle, where a fast-running predator discovered something unsettling about its own biology. The tiger beetle, Cicindela hudsoni, is a sprinting hunter. It runs so fast that its own visual system cannot keep up with its speed. As it chases prey, the world blurs past faster than its eyes can process. So the beetle does something remarkable and a little absurd. It stops. Mid-chase, recalibrates, then sprints again, stops again. A hunter interrupted repeatedly by its own frame rate, documented behavior, described in the research itself. The beetle is not slow, but its temporal resolution is too coarse to track a moving target continuously at full speed. Animation cue. Finn watches a tiger beetle sprint across the ground, freeze suddenly, look around, sprint again, freeze again. A hunter on a stuttering reel. Animation cue. The full-time spectrum graphic returns, now completely populated. Flies and dragonflies on the fast end. Hummingbirds just behind them. Dogs in the middle. Turtles further along. Deep-sea giants at the far slow edge. The tiger beetle sits in a strange pocket of its own. Fast body, limited frame rate. We tend to think of time as one shared river. Every living thing swimming through the same current, second by second, together. But the science of visual processing suggests something far stranger. Each species may be riding a completely different current inside that same river, some rushing through more visual. Subscribe for more creature field notes And watch this one next because it goes even deeper.